that didn't happen, and that is thanks now to the Bolivarian Revolution, and we close with 1.2 billion barrels on the year 2025. That is why today we ratify from here that the country of Venezuela is taking the path to prosperity and to the maximum happiness possible, and we must remember our commander Chavez when he called to unity of the patriots, and he told us unity, fight, battle, and victory. May God bless you. We will win. Very strong applause for the workers of PDVSA. Immediately we're going to receive here our deputy, member of the High Political Command, President of the National Assembly, who in his hand has the legislative instrument with you, Jorge Rodriguez. Dear working people, men and women, example of firmness, of bravery, of strength, of hard work, women and men that today are very excited and happy on the streets of Caracas, being the protagonists of a historical day, a day that will mean before and after for the hydrocarbon industry of Venezuela. Today we are excited for what just happened in the National Assembly, but that was only possible because of the force that with which you maintain alive and producing the petroleum to the petroleum and hydrocarbon industry of Venezuela. If the objectives of destroying our petroleum industry had been fulfilled, we wouldn't be here today celebrating the reform of the law. You are then the authors of this law. You are then who accomplished and were the protagonists of the hardest fight that the workers of Venezuela have had to defend our own, to defend the petroleum industry and the industry of hydrocarbons. You are the protagonists of the future that will come, and we have said it many times. It is necessary, and you know it more than anyone. It is necessary to take that petroleum that is under the land, underground. And days ago, we listened to acting President Delcy Rodriguez saying, up until will we be called the biggest reserve of the world, but we want to be the first producers of hydrocarbon of this planet. And from there, the importance of the approval in the National Assembly was approved unanimously. I salute the deputies that defend day in and day out this homeland, the venture of the revolution and of President Chavez and of President Nicolas Maduro, to the bench where our deputy Cilia Flores militates, who we will rescue sooner than later together with the president from the dungeons where they are. I salute you and congratulate you on your daily work in defense of life, of the homeland, and of our future. But also I salute the deputies of the Venezuelan opposition who voted together with us for the organic law of hydrocarbons, its reform today. To honor gives honor, and acting President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, we have given a process of consultation in all the country. Over 120 proposals were presented after the first discussion for the deputies, men and women, could work and close a project of law that today is a sanctioned law that will project further than 100 years from today, after the consultations and after the hard work with all of the people and especially with the petroleum working people we bring today. The reform of the organic law of hydrocarbon in Venezuela, sanctioned by the National Assembly, as our Constitution says, to deliver to you to the effects of your promulgation, and only I can say that we have approved this law in the name of God, in the name of the Venezuelan homeland, in the name of the immortal example of the liberator Simon Bolivar, in the name of our daughters and sons, in the name of the future that we will build together, in the name of the prosperity that we will recover and that we deserve forever. I do formal delivery, citizen, acting President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, of the reform of the organic law of hydrocarbon of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and we give it to the best hands. This document, this judicial document that is being given to the acting president, is the reform of the hydrocarbon law. Next, the acting president receives the law and it's going to impose her rubrics in this public act facing Miraflores for all that are watching the cameras.
At this hour, the acting president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, is receiving the law, the document that it has been passed today by the National Assembly. She receives that document in the very own hands of the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, at this hour during a massive demonstration that is taking place throughout the capital, Caracas, at this hour.
This law, in this law we have the example of Commander Chavez. It reaffirms the sovereignty on our resources and our energy resources. In this law is the vision and future of the President Nicolas Maduro, because there's some who think that this law, which is took it out suddenly, and no, this law we had studied already. It's reformed together with President Maduro, and I feel excited of being able to say from Caracas, his birthplace, President Maduro, we are fulfilling with you, complying with you, and with the first combatant and first lady, and we're also trusting on the people of Venezuela. I want to firstly thank Dr. Jorge Rodriguez, President of the National Assembly, to the Directive Board, to the deputies of Venezuela. This has been the first step to show that a united Venezuela is possible around the objectives, the biggest objectives, that are the happiness of our people. I thank the forces of Chavismo in the National Assembly. I thank also the different sectors of opposition that voted for this law, and is the first law that is voted unanimously. It is what reflects and is a symbol of the national union, that reflects and is a symbol of the national cohesion. Madsen Jorge, the voice of the workers of PDVSA. All that you've done for Venezuela is as a working class of the first level. There has not been a moment in the history where the workers, the petroleum workers, are not at the lead of the defense of our country, and you have done it in very hard moments of economical and financial commercial blockade against our industry, and in the hardest moments there you were, your hard-working hands to give prosperity to Venezuela, to give happiness, social happiness to our people. It was said by the Deputy Jorge Rodriguez, what are the use of having the biggest reserves of petroleum of the planet if we cannot turn them into hospitals, into salaries, into foods, in education? This law allows us the true historical leap of quality to turn those reserves of petroleum, the biggest ones in the planet, to be turned into the biggest happiness in the world that a people can have, and for the Venezuelan people to be the owners of that happiness. We have written Venezuelan brothers and sisters in difficult times, in complex times, in times also of pain. We are turning it into hope for our country. We're speaking of future. We are speaking of the country that we're going to give to our sons and daughters, to our youth. For that we have oath, and I know that today the Venezuelan parliament is also speaking to the world, is telling them, here there is a Venezuela that goes to the podium, that continues fighting and competing, and we are going to now, for the best practices, international practices, to do of our industry a great energy power with respect to the rights of human nature. Let's not have embarrassment for being a petroleum country, because I know that we are also a people that deeply love the rights of our nature, and it is a development with respect, with love for the rights of Mother Nature. It is a development with name also of human development, of happiness for our people, and we have to walk towards that goal. Dear Venezuelan men and women, we are giving historical steps, and you know it. I want to inform that today I received a call of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and of his Secretary of State, Marcos Rubio, where it was informed that in the framework of the agenda of work of which we have spoken, we are giving important steps, and we're speaking of to cease the restrictions in the commercial airspace of Venezuela for all the airlines that have to come, for the investors that have to come. And today we also received, as we have been receiving these few days, companies, transnational companies of petroleum of Europe, Asia. Today we received one of the most important companies of Indonesia, and we spoke on the content of this law, the importance that it has to give a bigger judicial value to the investments that are international and come to Venezuela, but also to the national investments. For no national sector that produces in the area of hydrocarbons to feel themselves left out, for no transnational sector of hydrocarbons to feel like they're left out. We welcome national investment and the foreign investment for the productive development in the area of petroleum, gas, and petrochemistry. In the next few hours, you're going to see a video that is going to make us feel very proud, and it will be our first export of the first molecule of gas in the history of Venezuela. The ship is already in Venezuela, and we will see it depart in the next few hours, and I will share that video with our people. You know that we have created 2 sovereign funds for all of the benefits generated from this reform. There are 35 articles that are going to be reformed, ratified in the framework of energy sovereignty, and we are changing parameters of management of business, but for the resources that derive from that energy development go to the 2 sovereign funds. The first one to consolidate the social protection of the Venezuelan people, of the system of missions and great social missions of our people, in incomes of the workers, in health, in education, in housing, and a second sovereign fund that is for the public services and infrastructure, where the bombs of these sanctions fell very strongly in electricity, in water, in viality. So this historical step that as people we have given will be for the future of our homeland. It will be for the happiness of our homeland, and for all of us to be able to continue together, united as a single country, in the most necessary actions that our Venezuelan people have, in the framework always of respect to the national sovereignty, to the independence that we inherited from our liberators, men and women, and above all, the peace and the tranquility of this homeland. You know that yesterday we had a very significant act with our national armed forces and the organisms of citizen security of Venezuela, an act of great significance of which I am honored having received the cane of command, where the National Bolivarian Armed Forces and the organisms of citizen security at my command, but I have also said not only to my command, for them to be at the command of the Venezuelan people, to guarantee the peace, the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, and the defense, the respect of our Constitution. We do it for the future of our homeland, and I know that in the lungs of each mother and father is the hope for their children. I know that in the lungs of every grandparent is the hope for their grandchildren. So this step that is very important, approving this reform of the law of hydrocarbons, that is done for the first time with the unanimously of all the diversity of the members of the National Assembly, must be received with the spirit that must start from now of democratic coexistence between Venezuelan men and women, the differences that exist, but done with respect and with deep respect to the dignity of each human being. So, Venezuelan people, happy of being here, happy of having signed this law. So it starts, and it was given today from the hands of the deputies of Venezuela, for that those great reserves be definitely and forever the happiness of our people. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Long live Venezuela forever. Long live the Venezuela world power, and long live the sovereign and independent Venezuela.
We are live at this hour. We were listening just a few seconds ago to the statement of Acting President Delcy Rodriguez. She received at this moment the law that approved the reform to the hydrocarbons law, unanimously approved. We need to remark this. This was an unanimous approved law that is going to guarantee the sovereignty over the national resources of Venezuela, that is also going to mark a historical beginning of a new era for Venezuelans, that are going as well to guarantee the equal distribution of the wealth, and also the preservance as well of the natural resources of the country. A law that also was discussed earlier today at the National Assembly during the second discussion. That was the moment in which it was approved earlier today. A law that also reaffirms the sovereignty over the energy resources of the nation, as well a law that is going to guarantee the investment, to open the nation for investment in the energy sector as well, that is going to be crucial for the development of the nation. And this was announced by Acting President Delcy Rodriguez at this moment, a moment as well in which the country is in mourning yet, and also demanding the return of President Nicolas Maduro and also first combatant Cilia, Flores, but is also giving important steps towards the future of the nation. Now we are going to remain on topic because Venezuela's National Assembly, as we were informing, approved on second discussion on Thursday the partial reform to the hydrocarbon organic law, as we were informing. The reform was sponsored by the President of the National Assembly. Let's go live once again to Venezuela during this demonstration. Let's see.
Un momento trascendental para el...
We were live at this moment to Venezuela. We were at this moment just a few moments ago listening to statements of acting President Delcy Rodriguez, who was receiving by the hands of the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, the law that was passed today that approves the reform of the organic law of hydrocarbons, a significant legislative proposal that is going to have as well as strong mark, is going to mark the strong path that Venezuelans are going to keep following for its own development, for sovereignty as well of its natural resources, for the opening to investments as well in the oil sector, being Venezuela the main place with the greatest reserves of oil in the whole planet. So it's going to have a crucial impact in the well-being of Venezuelans and in the development of the nation as a whole. Now we are going to stay on topic as well. We were informing throughout the day that Venezuela's National Assembly has approved in its second discussions, as we were informing, this partial reform on the hydrocarbons law. And with this last minute information, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.